Hey everyone, I'm AI Manick, holding it down for a minute while the real Manick gets dialed in. Welcome to day 3 of the 12 Days of Search Atlas live series. If you've been with us the last couple days, you already know the pattern. This isn't about one-off features or shiny buttons. This is us pulling back the curtain on how the platform is evolving underneath everything you already use. We'll kick things off shortly, but settle in because today connects a lot of dots. Over the last year, the team has been deep in the weeds rethinking how information flows inside Search Atlas. Not just data collection, but how understanding forms, how decisions get made, and how systems move from knowing to doing without constant human babysitting. Yesterday, we showed you what execution looks like when it's measured by outcomes, not activity. Rankings moving, systems responding, momentum becoming visible. Today builds on that quietly, structurally, and in ways you'll feel more than immediately notice. What you'll see isn't a redesign. It's not another workflow. It's a shift in how intelligence inside the platform connects, remembers, and acts across everything you touch. If day 1 was about changing the industry with a fully agentic workflow, and day 2 was about accountability, today we go a layer deeper. Today is about how intelligence forms inside the platform, how context compounds over time, and how execution starts to feel less like a sequence of tasks and more like a system that understands what it's doing. What you'll see isn't loud, it's structural. It's about memory, relationships, and decision-making happening before you even ask. So when action happens, it's already informed. This is the part that makes everything you've seen so far scale. While we're waiting to start, get your questions ready and drop them in the chat anytime. I'll gather them up so the real Manick can tackle them directly once he's live. If this is your first session, welcome. You picked a good day to join. If you've been through our challenges or launches before, you already know these sessions usually hint at where things are headed next. Grab a drink, go full screen, and stay locked in. The stream is about to start.
Alrighty, welcome back. Happy holidays, everybody. Welcome back to day 3. So it's been a great week so far. Thanks for everyone who's tuning in. Jump into the chat. Let me know where you're calling in from. We'd love to know which parts of the world we've got tuning in today for this launch. So this is day 3. You guys who have been here, you know how this goes. Every day we launch something new into the Search Atlas platform that you can use on all of the plans that we have. So day 3, in the last 2 days, we've launched some pretty impressive stuff. We checked out Search Atlas Brain on day 1, your agentic marketing operating system. We checked out the Project Hub, the unified home base for executing, measuring your SEO and PPC campaigns. Today is about how we've streamlined one of the most cumbersome parts of managing and working with websites. Specifically, it's about controlling the content you already have on the site and controlling the content you're about to create. So what is it? Well, drum roll, please. Dustboard, help me out. On the 3rd day of Christmas, what does Search Atlas have for me? Day 3. Here we go. All right. Content Genius Brain, Knowledge Networks, and the new Agentic experience. Pretty good for a $3,000 office prop, don't you think? All right. So what is this? What is this product? How does it work? Let's get into that. So most teams, now that we've worked on literally thousands of SEO engagements, we've worked with now over 4,000 agencies that run on the Search Atlas platform, we've learned a lot about how agencies as well as brands manage their content, manage their SEO, manage their websites. And the truth of the matter is that most teams, they don't actually have a content problem. They have a content management problem. Most websites, they live in two realities. One, a lot of existing content with old blogs, some of them ranking, some of them not ranking, pages that are underperforming, that they haven't touched or optimized in a very long time, content that actually could rank if it was restructured, if it was improved, if it were enhanced. And the other reality is that they want to create new content. They know that they want to keep building new pages, but they have no clear strategy, no connection between pages, especially old content that should be linking to new content, and no way to manage that at scale. So teams, what do? They end up doing one of two things. They keep publishing new posts and they ignore what already exists, sometimes cannibalizing, or they'll manually edit the pages. They'll go one by one and they kind of don't use like a system. They're just doing ad hoc manipulations and there's no real path. And neither of these are going to scale. So today's session is going to be about how we can do both inside one workflow that allows us to edit, refactor, republish existing content while also creating new content from a robust content strategy that is aware of the content already published to the website. All of this is driven by something that we call the Knowledge Network. The Knowledge Network is a computationally pure way that we can understand your business, your products, your services, and calculate the topical boundary around the business. That topical understanding includes the core and the outer section of that boundary, and it answers one core question, which is what are all the topics this business needs to write about to position itself and its products online? This is not about keywords. This is not about blog ideas. It is about understanding, okay? And it maps your products, your services, it maps topics, subtopics. It also understands query networks. It knows what people are searching for, and it understands how all these things should connect, okay? So very powerful system and allows us to align the business, its products, its services to the range of topics that we can write about to boost our topical relevance in Google's eyes and get more search volume, especially for more competitive phrases. In effect, this is a holistic content strategy. So now, this is where things get practical. You can take that content that's already on your site, you can bring it into Content Genius via the agent. From there, you can edit it, you can refactor it. Sometimes old articles maybe are missing heading structures. We can fix all those things. We'll boost the structure. We can boost the information responsiveness. We can optimize the microsemantics in the text. We can improve the internal linking. We can remove fluff. We can humanize the content and then finally republish that content. This is not rewriting for the sake of rewriting. This is upgrading content using the latest and greatest context that we have. And at the same time, we can create new content directly from the Knowledge Network. And we're going to show you how we do that. Because now we're not guessing about what we should be writing about. We're not relying on prompts to get there. We're not spinning up random ideas and publishing the latest thing we can think about. We're building content that fits exactly where it should fit inside the site in a quantitative way. The Content Genius workflow takes that structure and it turns it into fully written, fully optimized, fully publish-ready blogs that have images, that have internal links to your other content on the site and are ready to rank. And all of this lives inside the new Agentic experience. So that means you don't have to bounce across multiple different tools. You don't have to do a lot of manual clicking inside the interface. You're not copying and pasting. You're not managing your content in spreadsheets, okay? The system understands what already exists and what is missing and what should be improved. And through the agent, we're able to execute and we're able to do all of this work. So very excited to show you guys how this works, right? Big evolution to the way that our teams are creating content, publishing content, and it takes content writing and publishing and making it into a continuously improving system where every edit that we make improves the knowledge network and every publishing action we take strengthens the whole site and its rankings. All right. So without further ado, Arman, I'd like to invite you into the stage. Welcome,
Beautiful.
Arman.
Thanks.
How are you?
Thanks, Manick. I'm doing great, man. Excited to be here. Excited to show everyone what the new content tools are capable of, especially in the context of how agents are going to help make our workflows that much easier.
Amazing.
So I think to kick things off, we can actually start by looking at the new DKN or Domain Knowledge Network product inside Auto SEO.
Hang on, let me get your screen up here.
Cool.
Yeah. Looks like, I don't know what happened. It doesn't have it here. Okay. There it is. Okay. One sec while I bring us to the front. Can you see this, Arman?
I see it here on my side, yeah.
Okay. All right, let me try this.
Front and center, though.
Yeah. Okay, we're on top now. So they can see us and they can see your screen. I'll just move us to the top so we're not covering anything.
Awesome. So the Domain Knowledge Network, or DKN for short, is actually a tool that's a part of Auto SEO. Now, why did we even think to build this tool? We thought to build this tool because content strategy and understanding what to write before you write it is arguably the hardest part of developing a comprehensive SEO strategy, especially when you're working on a brand new site like this one, the auto project that I have in here. It's a brand new website. It has all of 6 pages on it, 4 of which are like about us, privacy policy, and contact pages, right? So this site really has no content footprint. If I wanted to manually create an end-to-end holistic supplemental content strategy that established this site as a true subject matter expert in the addiction recovery digital marketing space, I mean, that's a tall ask for any SEO strategist, let alone one that's managing dozens or hundreds of clients, right? So the Domain Knowledge Network is all about compressing that timeline to come up with a holistic strategy without sacrificing the quality and due diligence of keyword research, URL structuring, and intent behind the content that we're creating. So how do we actually get to a finished product that looks like this? How does this whole thing come into existence? It starts off with a very simple set of prompts that feed into the system. So things like the business description. What is the business? What does the business do? The central entity. What is the main thing the business is trying to rank for? The source context. Who are we writing for? How does this business make money? And what is the main value action that we want the user to take once they get to our site? Now, before you ask, yes, AI does help you come up with all of these pieces of information, so you're not fumbling around in the dark trying to figure out what all of this means. But you can always edit it, you can always augment it, you can always add more context to the business information before you generate the DKN. Once you're happy with that, you hit the generate button and you get an entire content strategy. You have some quick selectors right here that you can play with, like what categories do we have? So we can select something like digital marketing best practices. And now we can see all of the blogs and supplemental content assets that we would be creating as a part of this DKN to help satisfy the search intent for people who are looking for the best practices for digital marketing in the context of a rehab or addiction treatment center. So this type of strategy would help us build top and mid funnel pipeline, essentially find people who are looking for help with their digital marketing without having that I need an agency mindset yet, right? They're still in the researching phase of their journey. So it helps us capture those people with really high quality content that speaks to them where they're at in their buying journey. Now, as we look through this table, we're seeing things like the page title. We're seeing the recommended URL structure. We're seeing what type of page is it? We're seeing what are the target keywords this blog should be ranking for? What category is it going to be nested under? And what is the status of this piece of content pending creation? Now, before we go ahead and just hit create, we can always hit the edit button and we can view the details, the suggested title, the supporting page sectors, the category, the URL slug, the target keywords, and the description. So we could modify all of these pieces before we end up, creating that actual piece of content.
Yeah.
Now, if we wanted to make broader sweeping changes to this, right? Like when we look at the whole DKN and all of the 78 suggestions here that we have, if as we're scanning through this, if there are certain topics like we don't like or we don't agree with or we don't want to post or we want to see more topics about something or more keywords about something, instead of us having to regenerate the whole map, we can just edit with AI and we can describe how we want to modify this content. So we can give it instructions like, hey, remove any topics around PPC because I don't want to offer PPC, or add new topics around meta ads for addiction.
So here we're basically vibe coding the content strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is really what we're talking about, guys. We're using a combination of software and agents to make our workflows that much more seamless, integrated, and intuitive, right? It's not about regenerating topical maps or regenerating a domain knowledge network or manually clicking buttons and editing things. It's about evaluating strategy and speaking that strategy into existence with the help of agents. And just like that, the nodes have been updated. We went from 78 pages to 83 pages. And now we can actually come in here and see those meta related topics, right? Introduction to meta ads for addiction treatments, how to create effective meta ads for addiction treatment, so on and so forth. So literally with me adding one line of sentence, hitting the go button, in under 5 seconds, I added several new topics around a core business area I want to focus on for this new agency.
Amazing. And what's really cool about this is normally when you design a content strategy, it takes a lot of time to actually figure out what are the business's products, what are their services, what keywords are they ranking for, how do I use all that to really understand what types of topics should this business be writing about on its website. It's a balance, because a lot of people, when they think about content strategy, they end up going too wide, and really the thing is we have to go deep. We have to go deep and then we have to go wide. And so when people think about the term topical coverage, one of the biggest mistakes I see is that they spread themselves far too thin. They go after every area, but they don't ever concentrate around one. Especially for new websites, that's a mistake. You have to go deep. You have to be an expert in one specific subject matter and be the ultimate expert in that. There is a patent called knowledge-based trust. It's a fascinating look where researchers from Google actually showed how they can use information on your website to use that as a credibility signal, and it's orthogonal to PageRank. So it's basically used together with classical backlink type authority that we're used to thinking about as authority, but this is actually about our content. And so if we can keep our sites, let's say, relatively small and not talk about a lot of different topics and range of themes, but keep it very tightly clustered around one and go really deep into that, that is actually how you win. It's actually how we at Search Atlas, we rank #1 for all kinds of SEO related keywords, despite the fact that from how old we are, we're maybe a couple years that we've been really on the SEO scene as far as SERPs are concerned, while other competitors of ours have been around for over a decade. So how do we beat them? It's actually the science behind this. So Arman, please continue.
Yeah.
Just wanted to explain the importance of topical depth here.
Absolutely. And I think you touched on a really great point. And it speaks to why the DKN product, the Domain Knowledge Network, is coupled with auto SEO and doesn't exist as just like a standalone tool. It's because alongside the business information that we're feeding into the system here, we already have connected first-party data from Google Search Console. We have already built a comprehensive knowledge graph to help the system understand our business, our top pages, our social accounts, our authorships, all these different things. So all of these context windows are being fed into the DKN to produce a contextual and tailored piece of content for this business, which speaks to its audience, right? It doesn't happen in a vacuum as just like a one prompt without all of this data and, again, context being fed into the system.
Yeah, that context is king. I mean, you can't really say that enough, but the context is everything. This site is like relatively embryonic. It's like very new, and there's not a lot of information about the brand. We're still establishing this brand during the challenge. And so today we'll publish a lot of content to the site. But up until now, this point, you just have a homepage with kind of a high level set of what the business does. And so it's important to also feed that, give it more context, help it refine the business understanding to generate the best possible knowledge network that you can. And over time, businesses evolve and they shift and they change. And so that's why we have this vibe coding feature where you're able to enhance the topical, the topics that are structured here inside the knowledge network, so that as the business also evolves and moves into new areas, you're able to adjust this map and keep it current to the strategy that the business is following.
Awesome. Cool. So this is the DKN. There is also a tree view if you guys want to, kind of enjoy the fun visualization of what this actually looks like. But in my opinion, using the table view, the search feature, the edit with AI, that's where you're going to live. You're not really going to use the tree view. It's more of a visual aid than a practical way to use the tool. Cool. Yeah. Now, let's actually dive right into the new and exciting Content Genius coupled with our new agentic workflows. Can I get some sound effects there, Manick?
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. It's early here, man. I need some of that hype. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay.
I got more where that came from.
The entire beautiful. The entire Content Genius suite of tools has been totally reimagined, not just redesigned, reimagined. Now, as I'm sure you guys are noticing as we go through different sections of Search Atlas, we are front and center with the agentic experience, right? Instead of forcing users to know where does the tool live, where does the folder, what keywords, where do I put them in, you can just start your entire journey with the agent right here, or you can open the agent right here as a left panel aid to give you help before you actually start doing something. Whether it's creating a new piece of content, coming up with content ideas, improving existing content, improving internal links, humanizing content, or just giving it a specific command for a specific action you want it to take. Right? Now, before we go too far into the actual agent, I just do still want to remind you that you need to have a folder. The folder needs to be contextualized to your business. It needs to know, who you guys are, what you're writing about, all of these different elements. The AI can help you with all of that information just by giving it your website URL. Like if we give it, searchatlas.com as a quick example, we can pop in here, feed in that URL, and just hit populate all settings with AI. We don't have to come in and manually fill in all this information. We can review it. We should review it. We should not expect to see an error report popping up like that. But the AI should come in here and fill in all of the information for us in real time. So I cannot stress this enough. Manick said it. He just kind of casually said it. But that old adage of content is king is no longer as relevant in the world of AI. In the world of AI, context is king, right? So the more context windows we can feed into these systems, the better the outputs are going to be every single time. Now, we do have some quick actions here, obviously with the agent, also with the opening of the side panel right here. But what we also still have, if you guys have used the Content Genius in the past, are your quick actions here as well, right? Write with AI or write yourself. So what I've been doing, how I've been using this agent, how I've been using these workflows is to effectively help me come up with topic ideas, outlines, and briefs before I go in there and leverage the rest of the content genius for the refinements and the publishing side of things. So right here, I started with a simple command and I used the dictate feature. I just spoke this command to the agent, said, hey, let's create a new blog post to highlight why high quality press releases are important for enhancing AI search visibility. There's a whole thought process chain that happens here. It looks at folder and project setup. It looks at keywords it wants to analyze. It builds an outline. It allows me to approve it, and then it creates the final article for me. And it walks me through the strategy at every step of the way. So before we go too far down the rabbit hole and create a piece of content that we didn't know what we were going to get before we created it, we have all these intermediate steps that are happening lightning fast through the agent that's allowing me, the strategist, to review and say, is this a good title? Are these the right keywords? Are these too many keywords? Are there better keywords I can go in there and add in? I can modify things like language, location codes, the type of content, who we're writing for, the goal of this article. All of these things. Like here, I just said, you know what? Only do 3 keywords. I don't want to do 10 keywords for this one blog. Only select 3 and tell me why you're picking the right ones. It went through, made that edit, and then updated my outline to only reflect 3 keywords here for me, right? And then it also gave me the rationale as to why it made these changes. Like, this is like having a strategist in your back pocket, no matter what you're doing, whether it's content, local SEO, building backlinks, improving your user experience, building your website from the ground up. Everyone can use an extra set of eyes to help guide them and quality check their strategy. Now, in the SEO space or in the AI space, that extra set of eyes can typically cost you a pretty penny, right? Depending on the level of expertise and where you source this person. I mean, human capital is not cheap, right? So we are trying to ease that burden to allow people to have that strategy layer without having a physical strategist sitting over their shoulders.
But even when we're running SEO campaigns, I mean, I would say there's hardly a campaign we run that doesn't benefit from more eyeballs, more strategists
Absolutely.
putting their perspective into it to enhance it. And so it's just also even great for veterans just to have help, not having to go in and be so categorical and select each and every keyword or put in all of this context into the brief. Even for the veterans out there, this does save a lot of time. And it's also just nice to be able to use the workflows. So what I love about it is the streamlining of publishing and the streamlining of editing and streamlining of really mundane tasks that normally I would go and I would tell one of our VAs to do on our team. Instead, now I can just I can speak that command into the agent just as you did in your chat, and the agent will execute it. Something like, okay, for all my articles, go in and improve the internal linking, right, in Content Genius, or go in and add a bio, or go in and do a certain type of manipulation. Maybe I want to change my brand voice. To do that one by one manually and then republish, you're looking at like a week. Now instead, you're looking at a command you just submit to the agent and you let the agent cook, open up a new tab, work on something else.
Exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head, like especially that last part with opening up another tab and working on something else. Sometimes I also just want to bring this up is like the agents themselves are lightning fast. The outputs that the agent does for you is lightning fast. But certain tools like the Content Genius have back office processing tasks that they're doing that are not contingent on the speed of the agent's execution, right? So what do I mean by that? Like when we give the agent the target keywords, like these 3, now the Content Genius has to process the live search results. It has to go in there and do what we call information retrieval. It has to scrape the internet, see who's ranking for these keywords, understand their content structure, understand their usage of NLP terms inside their content. It's going to evaluate their heading structures. It's going to look at your site and provide internal linking recommendations, right? So really that's where a lot of that time is occurring. It's not in the agent. It's in the processing of multiple data sources and interpreting that to feed that data back into what the AI is actually going to come up
Correct.
with, right?
Correct. The process of constructing the knowledge graph basically we understand that all the information that we're reading, it's inside Google's knowledge graph, and they're using that to evaluate and score the quality of the web documents that they index. And so what we're trying to do is figure out inside their database, I need to reconstruct their knowledge graph of all the entities, all the things that are around this topic. What are their attributes? What are their values? We have to reconstruct that and then figure out what context should we include from that knowledge graph into this article. And that's not easy. And then once we have the knowledge graph, which we construct on the back end, we have to figure out, okay, where do we start the article? Where does the story begin? And where does the story end? What are the contextual layers as we move through this topic? So typically the way that this happens is you start with a question. Like there's a query that you search. There's an initial question that you needed to answer. But as you get the answer to that question, there are more layers that you didn't explicitly state in your question that you want to know. That is interesting, that is informative, that enhances the article. And so figuring out what are those contextual layers and bringing them into the format of the blog, that is really important. It's also really hard. And the final layer is also structuring the information into text. It's basically taking a knowledge graph and serializing it into text. And to do that, you have to have good understanding of microsemantics, which is a massive field unto itself. And there's great knowledge about that online. If you want to really go deep into that, my friend Korai's got an amazing course that you can take and learn up on how to do that. If you want to learn about it also, we're teaching that parts of it inside our AI SEO course that's in a more practical way, I think hands-on, gives you some of the concepts that you can use to make your content writing better. But just so you know, there is a lot of instructions going into the generation that include those microsemantic rules and algorithmic authorship. How do we algorithmically create high quality content based on these rules and stylistic patterns and what type of syntax and best practices? And so it is it's like a very, very specific cookbook, down to the T about how we create these blogs. And took us a lot of work. A lot of people that we shouted out when we launched the Content Genius V3. If you want to check out that video on YouTube, we can put it in the show notes. But this has been a product that we've been evolving for years and years, making it better and better.
Correct. Thank you for that, Manick. And if I could just summarize what Manick said in a short sentence, it's this process is why our content is different than just going to ChatGPT and saying, write me an article about this. Because it is not, ChatGPT does not infuse everything we know about SEO into the article it creates, right? There's a lot of science, there's a lot of multi-step data and processing and understanding that happens to produce a quality piece of content that not only reads well, but also ranks well, because that's what this is all about.
Science.
And you can always see, like when you click the Write with AI, you can always see exactly what step it's on, what it's doing, how it's factoring into the overall output. So you understand why it's taking so long. I'm using air quotes there, please. Yeah. Okay, cool. So now here, we've always had the insights, right? Content grading, looking at things like content hierarchy, factuality, information gain, all these different things here. We have our topical terms, we have our internal link suggestions. All of those elements have already been a part of the Content Genius. So if you're asking, well, what's new? Aside from the improved content outputs, we have this concept of refiners, where now that we have the content created, if we wanted to humanize it, we could apply that microsemantic refiner. If we wanted to generate a list, we just click a button. If we need an infographic, we just click a button, right? So these are quick action semantic refiner agents that can come in there and do very specific commands to augment or improve your content. But is this all we can do? No. That's why the content agent also has been introduced into the Content Genius. So you can use the refiners that are out of the box commands. You just come in there and click the button, or you come in here and initiate a full agentic experience to either, again, leverage some of our initial prompts here, like improve my content, add internal links, humanize, etc., or give it your own command based off whatever action you want the tool to take for you. And if, excuse me, if you just need to make like minor changes to the formatting or things like this here within the actual article, you can also just initiate an agent directly here, right? So we can give this agent robust commands like improve the heading structures, swap out these images for these images, reorganize the page, add a conclusion. There's literally no shortage of what we can do. It's just what we tell it to do, the agent will execute and allow us to approve or revert back in case we don't like the new version and we prefer the old version, right? So this tool has become a lot more agile, a lot easier to use, and gives the user a lot more control with how they want to iterate or create content. Beautiful. One other point that I wanted to bring up here, guys, is you can still import content. So if you're back on this screen, you're back on the Content Genius, and you want to work on a page that you already have, right? So this is a page on our Signal Genesis website, which is essentially targeting financial earning press releases, examples, templates, writing guides, etc. We could literally take that URL, go into the Content Genius, hit this button here, write yourself, and import that page. And then we can define a target keyword or multiple keywords, right? So say I give it a keyword like that. And then I can also specify my precise location if I was a local business. And then I can hit create content. And now what that does is it actually, because I already did this, it actually imports, created from, and it imports the full content document that's already on that page. And then I can initiate the agent or the refiners to improve my content that's already on my site, and then republish that or update that with either our WordPress plugin or one of our supported CMS integrations. So it's not only about creating net new pieces of content, but also importing and improving and then republishing existing pieces of content that are currently under the quality threshold for the site.
Amazing. And Arman, what type of CMSs can you publish to now with Search Atlas?
So there's actually quite a few. So WordPress has always been the number one because that was the first plugin we released. It's gone through several updates. So if you guys haven't updated your WordPress plugin, please do that. We're on version 2.5.13 right now. So please make sure you update that plugin. But yeah, if we check this out here and we hit WordPress or add CMS, it'll then take us to our new CMS connectors. And we have, quite a few new ones that have come online in the last couple months. And we're just going to continue this list, right? Like as our audience says, hey, we want you to integrate with X, we start scoping that out and we add that to the roadmap, right? So we say this all the time, but if there's a CMS that you really want us to integrate with, please let us know and we can then review the scope and review the demand and then slate it into the roadmap when appropriate.
Yeah. So guys, pop in the chat what CMS you guys are using. Is it one on here? Is it one that's not on here? We looked at the top CMSs by market size, market cap, let's say, and picked the ones that had the biggest coverage, the most usage, as well as not just total number of sites, but also biggest sites. And so that's why we got Salesforce and HubSpot on here. But I'm curious what CMSs you guys are using. If there's a CMS that you guys want us to add and that CMS has an open API that would allow us to publish inside it, manipulate content inside it, we can add it. Just to note that Squarespace does not have an open API, unfortunately. I don't know why they don't, but they don't. So we unfortunately can't do this with Squarespace sites, but every other CMS we've found supports it. So yeah. Contentful, Drupal, GHL, HubSpot, Joomla, Magento, Salesforce, Shopify, Webflow, Wix, and of course, WordPress.
Yeah. So one of the questions I get, and I'm sure you get it all the time too, Manick, is, well, what do I do if I'm not on this list? Do I just not use the content tool? No, you do. And let me show you how to do this, right? So this is a piece of content that's already created. Now we have several ways we can transpose this to our site, right? Number one is we can just share the link with our developer and say, hey, here's a link to this article I just created. Just go add it to the site, right? So this functionality works the same way as Google Docs. Can view, can edit. Anyone with the link can get this document sent to them. We can also export this as a brief, which is a much more comprehensive export that includes all of the keyword data, the scoring mechanisms, the competitor details. And it shows us like, hey, here's the title, here's the meta description. For the keywords, AI content generation, these are the guys we're competing with. So it not only gives us the content, but it gives us the data, the entities, the keyword usage, the internal links that people also ask questions. So these briefs are insane when you share them. If you don't need all of that robust data, you can just open it directly in a Google Doc without all of that additional data enhancing or showing all that use case. Or, and this is what the open in Google Doc is, just a clean, here it is, right? And then the last option is to just download the pure HTML. So this will then open up an HTML file, and we see it like this, and we can then inspect the file, and now we can see the heading structures, paragraph structures, and everything organized for us, right? So there are a lot of ways to share this content, even if it's not a supported CMS for one-click publishing, right?
Perfect.
So just keep that in mind, guys.
And it follows semantic HTML best practices. So if you don't know what it means, at this point, don't worry about it. It's in there.
Exactly. And yeah, there's these fun little quick actions. If you don't like the metadata, you can always just generate new stuff. But again, Auto will always help you do that. Or the content agent, you can ask it, give me new titles, new metas. But yeah, just giving you all of the different bells and whistles that this tool supports.
Right. And everything Arman's doing here in the UI, you can do with the agent too. So you can just chat with it and give it the instructions that you want. And so that's one of my favorite ways to use it. Arman, what about the, if there's something in the article they want to change, what's the fastest way for them to rewrite the content while preserving everything that's in here, not having to take it out, move it into ChatGPT or manually do the edits? What should they do?
Yeah. They should click this big button here, initiate the chat, and say, approve the H1 for... So this workflow is not a full page rewrite. It's just taking a specific prompt command and changing one section or whatever section you've asked it to change. And it opens up an overlay. So pop-up will trigger. It'll show us the original. It'll show us what it changed and the before and afters, right? So then we can approve it, or we can ask it to regenerate or try again. But it's just like this. It says, here's our original H1. I wanted it to be more sales and action focused. So instead of how is AI, it's saying, no, transform your PR strategy, master AI powered press releases, unmatched impact, right? So, and nothing else changed. Everything else is exactly the same as it was. The only thing that changed was the one thing I asked it to change. I then approved that change. And now my new H1 has been added to the page.
I love that. Makes it really easy to see the changes it made and to stay in context here and not have to bring all of this context that we have, including the heading structure, the content that's here, the previous instructions, all the context is going to be retained. And so it'll be able to get you closer to the edits you want to make. So that's one of my favorite features that's in this platform now. Obviously, like my preferred workflow, I barely spend that much time inside the UI. It's useful for people who are more used to that, but I spend most of my time working with the agent, just chatting with it, telling it what I want it to do, and building the content that I need to create and publish just through the agent. What about the micro refiners and infographics and some of the other modules that I see there in that horizontal list of buttons?
Yeah, so the microsemantic refiners are top here, as well as here on the refiners tab. So we can actually just come in here and drop in a humanize command. And that's it. Now I don't have to go and find another third-party tool and say, hey, take this article and humanize it and rewrite it and lose all the SEO magic that Content Genius produced to you for you to begin with. Yeah. This will keep all of that SEO nuance that the initial output had, but we'll still go in there and humanize the content.
Yeah, and it keeps.
But yeah, there are all of these different quick actions. Yeah,
I see a lot of things happen when people try to copy and paste stuff. Is they'll lose the HTML formatting and the structure, which is so important if you just copy and paste and you lose H1s and H2s and H3s and the ULs and LIs for your lists and the table structures, like you're really hurting the content. And obviously you need images. I see a lot of people just copying and pasting content out of ChatGPT or Claude with really kind of remedial low quality images, or maybe no images at all, because it's just, it's challenging to incorporate them into the workflow. So all of it can be configured as well. So if you look at the images and you want something different, you can change it. You can create your own brand style guidelines for the image generation. So definitely encourage you guys to play with that. I personally, I like images that are not realistic. I prefer more images that are more abstract, that are more creative, because you don't have to worry about realism. You're really more trying to be symbolic and also include text in the images. We know that when Google processes these images, there's a very robust set of algorithms that unpack so many attributes of the images. If you can try to make your images have a white background, we found that in the Google Content Warehouse API leaks, having a white background actually is associated with higher scoring and more trustworthiness for commercial brands. So some of those instructions you can put into the image generation prompt that we allow you to do in your content folder. You can also just tell it to the agent. The agent will know what you're talking about and take care of it for you.
Absolutely. So yeah, in the time Manick explained that, we fully humanized our article. Amazing.
Boom.
Yeah. And then, one last quick point I wanted to make. When you see your target keywords here, if you click your keyword, it opens up your good old keyword research best friend, right? So intent, difficulty, trend lines, cost per click, related keywords, questions, right? So no shortage of data, no steps being skipped. We want to make sure that when we're making content, we have, again, intention and context behind it. And this just unifies that entire experience for us.
It's a lot of data in here.
Yeah, it is. And that's the thing. You used to have to interpret it, or now you just say, hey, content agent, go pick the best keywords and tell me why you picked the keywords and show me all the metrics of those keywords, and then go ahead and get it done, right? So that would be my recommendation, as Manick said, is like, just let the system do all the heavy lifting for you. But if you really want to, get into the details, you still have access to all of that rich data here.
Amazing.
Cool. Get to writing, guys, or get to prompting, I should say.
Yeah, get in there with the agent. Cool. Well, Arman, thanks for walking us through the new feature. Amazing. I'll see you in a couple hours for today's AI Search Summit. We're continuing with day 3 of the Search Summit. Today's going to be focused on content, and we'll be using these content workflows extensively. Thanks again, man.
Yeah, you got
Let's
it.
Give Arman a round of applause.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So, guys, this was day 3. I'm really excited about these, not only the live streams, but also the challenge. We've started to see already on day 3 people posting case studies, people using the agent to go way faster than they ever could before, doing more SEO, optimizing their sites in a bigger way, in a better way, and just taking what would have been a project that required 3, 4, 5, 6 people to collaborate and work together. Now they're doing it with one person. I saw someone in the chat talking about how they would never attempt to do this type of SEO on a website just as a one-man show. You would at least do it with a couple other people on your side. But the rules are changing, guys, and this is a really exciting time. So this was day 3 where we went over the Agentic Content Genius. Super excited to give you guys that. You guys can all use this inside the platform. Just a quick note, as a part of our holiday spirit, we were giving you unlimited AI usage on the agent. So you can chat with the agent as much as you like. There are no restrictions on Search Atlas Brain right now. We want you guys to be able to use it as much as possible. If you're also interested in taking advantage of the Search Atlas platform and being a part of our summit, join today at 1 p.m. Eastern time, where we're going to continue with day 3 of the challenge. And by the way, if you upgrade to VIP, you can get unlimited AI usage throughout the entire platform, except for Hyperdrive, for this entire challenge, which means You can publish hundreds of articles. Yesterday, I forget his name, he published 342 articles with the agent while we were going through and teaching him how to use it. Unbelievable. So super exciting, guys. I will see you back here tomorrow for day 4 of the 12 days of Search Atlas. Until then, be merry, be wise, and keep cooking. We'll see you later.